Hey guys, it's Christina Paulden here, and you're listening to the replays of the Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Story series. That's right, all day long, we're replaying breastfeeding stories from moms and specialists. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy. Hey guys, I'm Christina Paulden, and welcome to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast, your go-to podcast for building a love of learning in your little ones. Thank you for tuning in today, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Christina here. For Breastfeeding Awareness Month, I wanted to put together a series to help inform and inspire moms to breastfeed. So throughout the month, you'll hear moms and specialists share their breastfeeding stories and expertise. It's my prayer that this series provides you with the knowledge and support you need while on your breastfeeding journey. Please keep in mind that this series was created for informational purposes only. Please do not disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking help because of something you may have heard on this series. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's series of Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Stories, we have Christina Collins here to share her story with us. How are you doing today, Christina?
I'm doing great.
Thank you for being here, coming on, sharing your story. I really appreciate it. Whenever you're ready to share your story, we're listening.
So I decided for my story that I would share it from my college experience. I actually started at like 21 breastfeeding my first child. And it was quite strange just to think that just over 10 years ago, how amazed a lot of people were to see 21-year-old Black woman, young woman, or child, depending on how old the person was you were talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're so young, say that you are breastfeeding and that, it's something that wasn't considered the norm. And I just always knew that that was what I wanted to do. And I was just so determined to always do it. And I didn't care where I was. My siblings would always say, cover up or go in the room or nobody wants to see that. Or I remember like my friends coming over, go in the room. And it's like, no, I'm not going in the room. It's okay. But coming to college, I returned to college a few years back and I kind of had the same experience. And the campus was pretty supportive in the sense of they gave us a space where we felt like, okay, you can breastfeed here and it's okay to breastfeed. Mm-hmm. But I know one of the things that we struggle with as moms was having a space where we felt content, whether we were breastfeeding our child or pumping, because some of us pumped throughout the day, and the spaces weren't necessarily the best, places where we would be comfortable. We weren't necessarily in the bathroom, but in the lounge area of the restroom or in a closet space, sort of, that didn't allow us to wash our hands, or somewhere where you wouldn't want to have a snack while you're breastfeeding. And so again, you look at that and it's not so positive. But one of the things that I would say is that as moms, we always have to remember that we are one of the biggest advocates out in the world for women all over the world. We are always the ones that are there to help get things done. Even if it's not for us, remember that every little move that you make, whether you think that it's minor or not, it may not help you, but it is likely to help someone else. And it's really important because that's how you leave your legacy on the world, not only with your child in breastfeeding them, because when you're breastfeeding them with the nourishment and the power that we give to them through breastfeeding, you're also doing the same for yourself and that other woman who I met on campus who didn't have the courage to explain to a professor why she took a break during that course and didn't know that she had the right to get things changed in her schedule or to get that additional break for her breastfeeding, or being able to have that professor who I had who said, hey, you can come and pump or breastfeed in my office whenever you like. So my breastfeeding story for me is one of knowing that if you speak up, not only does it help you and your child, but it can also help someone else. And that's important for a lot of us to see other women doing it as well, because sometimes we may not have the confidence with doing so. I know when I started out with my first child, I didn't see it. It was very rare that I saw a young Black woman or even an older Black woman in my community breastfeeding. I kind of knew I wanted to do it just based off the readings and research and stuff that we had been doing prior to having our child. So I knew that it was something I was interested in doing, and having that knowledge really helps other people. Being able to share our story like you are allowing us to do on with these interviews, it's really important. And that's why when I saw your post, I just absolutely knew that I wanted to be a part of this, because women need this. Yes. Young women, old women, we really need people to share our stories, especially of our own. Right. We need our own kind to tell our own story, so that it's not something that's seen as, we don't see this, it's not common, or it's not normal. I found myself just yesterday advocating for a Black woman who posted a picture of breastfeeding with her child online. And, people were, oh, cover up. And I remember hearing that myself, and I'm just like, no, I took up for her. Because I knew, whether she did it or not, I'm not sure, but I knew that I wanted to take up for her as another breastfeeding mom, because that's the power that we have in our numbers. And I just knew that that's what I was sent to do. That's me. I'm a breastfeeding mom, and I'm going to sit and take up for another breastfeeding mom. And that's what I've always done. I've breastfed all of my children, 5 of them. And I wouldn't change it for the world. And that's really what I wanted to share.
Oh, thank you for sharing. Could I ask, how is your support system? Like, I know you talk about your family, or just like, go to the other room if you're going to be nursing, but were they supportive of your decision to nurse or breastfeed?
For them, I would say in the beginning, no. Of course, my partner was as supportive as I think he could have been, with the knowledge that he has. But for a family as a whole, it took, I think the only person to really be supportive was my partner and my father. And that's crazy because they're men, so you would think that the other women, but the argument, I'm sorry, my toddler is now banging on the door. He like, what is mommy doing? One moment, I apologize.
No, you're fine. Okay, so you were saying how your support came from men as opposed to women, but it was still there for you. And that's something that, I keep saying in each interview, is how important the support and the knowledge is. We have to make sure we have a support system while we're going through this journey. I also you remembered you saying, or also you mentioned how just on campus, although you had a place to nurse, it wasn't like a nice place. And I'm here in Oklahoma, and when I was nursing my son, we took a trip to the Science Museum, and their nursing stations were amazing. You because the museum for one is just loud and crowded, but when you go in there it's just quiet, and they have, it's like a nursery with like multiple chairs and a nursing station and a changing station. It was so lovely. I've never seen anything like it, because usually, you're just kind of stuck somewhere. You have to find somewhere to go. But I think
Right.
companies and things are kind of getting a hint, and they're trying to do more now. But yeah, when I went there, I fell in love with their little it was like mommy and me time or something that they called it, and they had just different stations throughout the museum. So I think, everybody's trying to do better. But okay, so I want to ask you now, do you have any words of encouragement that you would like to offer breastfeeding mothers?
Yes. My comment is always, it gets better. I always say that because it is so hard in the beginning. And I'm in a breastfeeding group on Facebook, and that's one of the reminders they always give mom. Like, the first 3 weeks are really rough. You want to give up, you want to cry,
Mm-hmm.
your boobs are hurting. Um, I actually went through, I had, each experience is different with every child,
Mm-hmm.
but it gets better. Like, your first few weeks, you're struggling, but I promise you it gets better. I had to explain that to my sister, and you keep up, like, keep it up, because it does gets better. It's rough. It's really rough. I know that it is. I'm here for you.
Yes, I.
Do not feel alone, mommies. Do not feel alone. I am here for you. Yes, it is hard in the beginning, but I promise you it gets easier. The timing doesn't slow down, but it does get easier. The restless nights will slow down a bit. The tenderness and soreness and swelling in the boobs in those first 2 weeks are really rough, but I promise you it gets much better. It gets easier for you.
Thank you so much, Christina, for being here and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for offering the opportunity.
Oh, of course, of course. To the listeners, I want you to post all of your breastfeeding questions in the comments section below. Let us know what your questions are, your concerns are, so that we can get those answered for you. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more resources and tips on how to create a love of learning in your little one, visit teachingaloveoflearning.com. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified when new episodes are posted. Talk to you soon. Hey guys, it's Christina Paulden here, and you're listening to the replays of the Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Story series. That's right, all day long, we're replaying breastfeeding stories from moms and specialists. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy. Hey guys, I'm Christina Paulden, and welcome to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast, your go-to podcast for building a love of learning in your little ones. Thank you for tuning in today, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Christina here. For Breastfeeding Awareness Month, I wanted to put together a series to help inform and inspire moms to breastfeed. So throughout the month, you'll hear moms and specialists share their breastfeeding stories and expertise. It's my prayer that this series provides you with the knowledge and support you need while on your breastfeeding journey. Please keep in mind that this series was created for informational purposes only. Please do not disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking help because of something you may have heard on this series. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's series of Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Stories, we have Audrey Elmore here to share her story with us. Audrey, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. I want to thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you coming to share your story. Whenever you're ready to share, we're listening.
Okay. Thank you for having me. Breastfeeding was one of those things for me personally that wasn't talked about often within the family or the community. So when I first started, it was really all brand new to me. And I started in 2011 when I had my son, and I had high hopes. I knew everything was going to go off without a hitch. I was going to be successful. I was breaking boundaries that had been broken, and so I went into it really thinking that I had a hold on everything and everything was going to go exactly how it needed to go.
Yes.
And he came and it did not. So the first thing they did was they connected me with lactation nurses, and we tried some of everything, and then I can't tell you the amount of things we had tried, and he's 9 now, so it was 9 years ago, so I don't remember all of it, but we tried a lot of different things to try to get him to latch, to try to get my milk production up, and nothing was working. And so for a minute there was like, well, you're gonna have to supplement because you're not giving what he needs. So that was a crushing thing in itself.
Right.
How am I as a mother not giving what my child needs? So with hesitation, I did that because, of course my child has to eat. So I did that, and we continued on, and I reluctantly and without a lot of continued to try to breastfeed. It got to the point where I would do it every so often. I had gotten so frustrated with it that, okay, I've gotten up the nerve, and I can do this now. And so I would try it and I would fail. And so that happened, in spurts within the first 3 months of him being born. And that kind of pushed it over the top for me is one night I was out of formula, and I didn't have any money to go and get any formula. So I was like, okay, well, let me try this one more time, because I still thought that I was producing something. Like I said before, I didn't know much about it. I wasn't educated on it because it wasn't talked about. And so I tried one night. He was crying, I was crying, and I let him try to the point where my nipple started to bleed. And it was at that point I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I have to listen to my body. I have to do what's best for my child. And I stopped breastfeeding. And so we went on formula from then on out. And years later, I got pregnant with my daughter. And so I said, I'm going to try it again this time. And because I know more, I know better, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to put that knowledge to use. And so with my daughter, initially she did latch on, but because it was still kind of new to me, it was only my second child, and the first was a failure, so it was still semi-new to me. She latched on, but me not knowing everything I needed to know, it was still some areas that I needed to get more educated in. So over time, it got to the point where I was producing milk. She was in ICU, so I went from being able to latch on, not in ICU, I'm sorry, in the NICU. And so it went from me being able and her being able to latch on and get from me directly to me having to pump because, I couldn't be there every single time she needed to be fed. So that introduced me to pumping. And for whatever reason, I said, well, if all else fails, at least I know I can do this. And, if this fails, then it just wasn't meant for me to breastfeed. And so the pumping ended up being a success. And the pumping, it being as good as it was, it made me feel like, okay, I can do this. I was to a point where I was making enough for her. I was making enough to store. And it made me feel better about my position as a mom, knowing that I could provide her with what she needed. And so that started my pumping journey. And so from her getting out of the NICU and then coming home, I continued to pump, and then I would pump on a schedule every 2 hours. And I did this for, I can't even remember how long, like through the stresses of me having to pump, me being away from my husband, me being away from my other child. It was a lot, but I know it was the one thing that made me feel good about my journey, because it was something that I knew I could do. And I was producing so much that, I had left over. And so I got to the point where I could produce and I could take a break and I can enjoy life a little bit.
Yeah.
And it made me feel good. And so it made me open my eyes to other options. And it made me realize that even though it didn't work the first time, I wasn't a failure. It's just that I wasn't as knowledgeable about what was going on. I wasn't as knowledgeable about my body. And because breastfeeding was such a faux pas thing in my community, in my family, it shut me off to a lot of the things that would have helped me later on. So, I mean, even going forward, if I were to have another child, I know that I have that option of either breastfeeding or pumping. And I won't stress myself out as much as I did, and I won't put as much pressure on myself to quote unquote perform for my child, because I know that there are other options out there.
Wow. Okay, so you stated that it wasn't talked about around your family and in your community. And you also mentioned that you became more knowledgeable. And this is something that I'm repeating in each interview is support and knowledge. You guys, if we have these two things, we can succeed in this. We just need to know what to expect. We need to know what to do if something happened or if something is going wrong. Know that our body knows what to do. We just have to trust it. I think because we're not seeing it a lot, we didn't grow up around it. When something doesn't go as we think that it should go, we kind of freak out. And just know that if you have that support system and you know about breastfeeding, then you will be fine. You also mentioned that you went into it with the best intentions. And I think all of us do. We go into it with, we're going to have a baby and we're going to breastfeed. And, something happens, everything doesn't go as planned. So I totally understand your frustration there as well. Okay, I want to ask you, would you like to offer the moms out there any words of encouragement?
One thing I would say is to make sure you go into it with a positive mindset, and don't be discouraged, because even if you're coming into it like I did with not a lot of knowledge and not a lot of support regarding breastfeeding, there are other communities out here. There are other places that you can garner that support from. And don't give up, because like I said, the first time for me, it did not go at all how I planned. But this time, I exceeded my own expectations in what I could do. So just don't give up and keep a positive mindset, because all of that stress, that negativity, that negative energy, even when you are producing, and it's if you're producing well, even if you're not producing well, your body reacts to that. Mm-hmm. If you're going into it with a negative mindset and you're thinking, I can't do this, I'm not going to be able to do this, your body is going to listen to that. And if you go into it with a positive mindset and you go into it knowing that, hey, I can do this, this is possible, I've seen other women do it. I know other women can do it. So I know your body's going to listen to that and it's going to work for you.
That's good stuff. Can you let everyone know where they can find you?
I am on Instagram, and my personal page is Lovely Lady J30, but I also have a business page. I am a makeup artist based out of Jackson, Mississippi, and my makeup page is Elmore_Beauty. That's Lmore. And on Facebook at Audrey Johnson Elmore.
Thank you again, Audrey. To the listeners, I want to hear from you. I want to know if you've experienced any issues breastfeeding and how you overcame those issues. Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more resources and tips on how to create a love of learning in your little one, visit teachingaloveoflearning.com. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified when new episodes are posted. Talk to you soon. Hey guys, it's Christina Paulden here, and you're listening to the replays of the Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Story series. That's right, all day long, we're replaying breastfeeding stories from moms and specialists. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy. Hey guys, I'm Christina Paulden, and welcome to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast, your go-to podcast for building a love of learning in your little ones. Thank you for tuning in today and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Christina here. For Breastfeeding Awareness Month, I wanted to put together a series to help inform and inspire moms to breastfeed. So throughout the month, you'll hear moms and specialists share their breastfeeding stories and expertise. It's my prayer that this series provides you with the knowledge and support you need while on your breastfeeding journey. Please keep in mind that this series was created for informational purposes only. Please do not disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking help because of something you may have heard on this series. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's series of Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Stories, we have Maya Hall here to share her story with us. How are you doing today, Maya?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this moment.
Oh, you are welcome. So I'm going to give you the floor, and whenever you're ready to start sharing, we're listening.
Okay. Hi everyone. Again, my name is Maya. I have 4 beautiful, healthy babies that I was blessed to be able to breastfeed all of them. My oldest, she is 8, and my youngest, he is 3 months. And it has definitely been a joyride with all 4. The other 2, they're both girls. They are 4 and 2. The experience with each one has been different, just as all kids are. My first one, I had no knowledge of breastfeeding. No one in my family that had breastfed prior to, so it was definitely something new, but I knew that I wanted to do it. I wanted to give her the absolute best of me that I possibly could. So, yep, that was the goal, to breastfeed. So I took classes. I did everything I could to, get ready and prepare to breastfeed her. So fast forward, she's born at the hospital. Everyone was really helpful at that time. She was born 2012. So at that time, the whole breastfeeding thing was new and booming. So there were a lot of people at the hospital that helped me and, just walked me through, answered questions. And everything went pretty smooth with her. She latched on. We both kind of got into our groove and it was our thing. And then, so no problems with breastfeeding her. It was awesome, great experience. My second daughter, same thing. Knew we were gonna breastfeed. Everything was going smooth. Then she kind of, I don't know, I guess my body kind of switched up on me. It was a little bit different experience. Like I said, I didn't have any issues with my first one. My second one, I started to have pain when she would latch on, and I didn't understand, where the pain was coming from. Like, what is going on? So it was to the point where I wanted to give up. I wanted to give up so bad, but then every time I looked at her face, and every time I looked at her face, I was like, I can't give up. I have to give her the best. I have to try my hardest to give her the best. So I was just trying to push through because I thought she was latching on wrong. I didn't know what it was. So I went to a lactation consultant. She monitored us. She just, gave me some tips and pointers, and she was like, she's latching on fine. I'm like, then I don't know what it is because it hurts so bad when she like I have to force her onto me because it hurts so bad. I don't want to do it. But yeah, I don't know what it was exactly, but I just pushed through, and over time, with the help of the lactation consultant and her giving me some pointers, it went away. So this was like in the beginning stages of her being born. So, a few weeks after she was born. Yeah, so baby number two, she came with a lot of more questions, and I guess it was more of an adventure because I found out a whole lot more about my body and, breastfeeding with her. Is the first one, yeah, it was just a breeze. It was a walk in the park, no issues. And I guess it did help because with the third and the fourth baby, I actually ended up having the same issues, like with the pain. So it was something that I knew could be a possibility that I would have to go through. So it kind of prepared me and got me in that mental state of, okay, we're gonna get through this. It'll be for a short period of time. So it was reassuring to, I guess, me going through that because it didn't put me in that mind frame of I just wanted to quit. I was like, okay, this is for a short period of time. It'll be over soon. We'll get through it. And everything worked out great. Still, like I said, I was able to breastfeed all three of my girls up to a year. My son, we are going strong and everything is good. I don't have any complaints, and I don't think he does either. So yeah, it was breastfeed. I always encourage anybody that I see that may be pregnant. I always try to encourage them to breastfeed. Breast milk is the best milk. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this because out of all of the people that I've interviewed thus far, you are the only one that mentioned taking classes. And I want to know if you feel as though taking those classes before you had the baby, if that helped you on your breastfeeding journey.
I would say the classes helped me tremendously. Like
Oh,
they
wow.
helped so much because I would have the things that did happen in the beginning, I would have been I probably would have gave up because I wouldn't have known that it's something normal, that it, something that could possibly happen. And if I kind of just, tweaked it a little bit, or, moved in a certain way, that it would fix the problem. So I probably would have gave up not knowing.
Awesome. Throughout this whole series, I keep hearing the words support and knowledge. And you're saying
Yeah.
that because, you went and you got the knowledge that you needed before you even had the baby, that
Yes.
things made sense to you and you were aware of what could happen. So I love to hear that. I like that it actually helped. So let me ask you, is there anything that you wish you would have known before you started breastfeeding?
I wish I would have known. Man, I'm like, it's a lot of things I wish I would have known. I think I wish I would have known how much time and energy it actually takes to breastfeed. Like, I know it sounds as simple as, putting, letting your baby latch on, but it's like it's actually like a mental state you both have to be in. Because if you're frustrated, the baby's gonna be frustrated, and then it's harder to latch. So I think that would be it.
And that's what you said, you have to make sure that you are in good spirits while you're nursing, because the baby can
Right.
feel your energy. If you're annoyed, then the baby's annoyed, then the whole situation is just a mess. So
Yes.
okay. If you could summarize breastfeeding into 3 words, what would they be?
They would be strength,
Strength,
patience,
patience.
and endurance.
Oh, I love those. Strength,
Yes.
patience, and endurance. That's good. All right. So would you like to offer breastfeeding mothers out there, or women who are interested in breastfeeding, would you like to offer them any words of encouragement?
Yes, I would. I would like to say, hold on through the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all worth it. It's worth it for your baby, of course. It's worth it for you. It's it's a beautiful thing. It's your bonding time. It definitely creates a stronger and bigger and better bond with you and your child. You may cry once you decide to finally stop. I know I did with each and every one of them. But yeah, I would just say just stick it out, and just remember the goal is much bigger than what it may look like at the time.
Thank you again, Maya, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share.
You are welcome. So to the listeners, I want to hear from you. I want to know, what are your breastfeeding questions? Let us know what those are so we can get those answered for you. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more resources and tips on how to create a love of learning in your little one, visit teachingaloveoflearning.com. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified when new episodes are posted. Talk to you soon. Hey guys, it's Christina Paulden here, and you're listening to the replays of the Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Story series. That's right, all day long, we're replaying breastfeeding stories from moms and specialists. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy. Hey guys, I'm Christina Paulden, and welcome to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast, your go-to podcast for building a love of learning in your little ones. Thank you for tuning in today, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Christina here. For Breastfeeding Awareness Month, I wanted to put together a series to help inform and inspire moms to breastfeed. So throughout the month, you'll hear moms and specialists share their breastfeeding stories and expertise. It's my prayer that this series provides you with the knowledge and support you need while on your breastfeeding journey. Please keep in mind that this series was created for informational purposes only. Please do not disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking help because of something you may have heard on this series. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's series of Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Stories, we have Lauren Leake here to share her story with us. Hey Lauren, how are you doing today?
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to hear your story. Whenever you're ready to start sharing, we're listening.
Okay, I don't have like a formal story, so I'm just gonna kind of give you guys, I'm gonna talk to you guys like you're sitting right here in my living room. I've got 3 boys and I've breastfed all 3, but our first one, I was just uneducated. I didn't know what I was doing. I did have a great hospital that would reach out with their resources just to see how things were going. But when you don't have someone to physically show you what you need to do, and you know, when you're a first-time mom, you don't really know where to go, what to do, the questions to ask. When I had Kaden, I was 22. And so, you know, just graduated college. I had gotten married and everything, but I didn't exactly know about breastfeeding. I know that I wanted to do it, but I didn't know the correct steps to take. And so our breastfeeding journey ended in 3 months, which after those 3 months and after I did my own research, I saw that where I failed and I saw where I could have improved. And so with my next boy, he was born 13 months after Kaden. And I actually breastfed him for 4 years. And that's after I armed myself with a community of women that was very supportive. After I armed myself with knowledge and resources that I acquired on my own. So sometimes you have to be your own advocate. And that's after I even learned how to hand express myself, because when I did try it with Kaden, I didn't know what I was doing. I remember going down the road, funny story, I remember going down the road and I was, it was about a 45-minute drive. And I was like, the engorgement was so much where I just could not take it. But I remember having a hand pump there in the car with me. And I had pulled over, and it wasn't exactly a rest stop. It was like, you know, at a abandoned convenience store, but I was in broad daylight, so I felt like I was safe. And there was an officer. He comes and he knocks on my window, because when I was, you know, pumping, I was just like, you know, my head was on the steering wheel and I was just getting myself comfortable. And he goes, yeah, someone said that there was a lady slumped over her steering wheel. Are you okay?
Oh, wow.
And so when I looked up, I said, oh, I'm just pumping. He goes, oh, okay, well, go about your day. I was like, yeah, you know. And so after that, I noticed that I needed to be more prepared, because the only thing that I need to say to the cop was that, hey, I'm pumping milk, you know. And so fast forward, like I said, I nursed my second child till he was 4, and it was more of like an emotional comfort for him. But I am a wholehearted believer that it has helped him throughout his life. When it comes to immunity through sickness and different things. I've, you know, made soaps. I've made, you know, I use it for ear infections, eye infections, just about everything I have used my breast milk for. And I had actually that hyper lactation where I produced so much that I actually filled the deep freezer.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so they wanted me to wet nurse, but, you know, I had produced so much and he was eating so much that I really did not have time to, you know, go and wet nurse, but that would have been something that I wanted to do. So with my 3rd child, he will be 2 in August. I'm still nursing him every day, all day. I will say a story about him was I was trying to work and pump. And when you are working for a company that doesn't understand they respect it, but they don't understand the nursing journey.
Mm-hmm.
I actually quit that job because they did not understand it. And they made me feel like I was more of a burden when I would take my breastfeeding breaks or my pumping breaks. You know, I was bartending in the middle of a wedding and they were like, I'm sorry, you can't go. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of my right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it is my right to go and to pump for my child, you know, especially if I'm working a double shift. And so she said to me, well, is this going to be long? Are you going to be gone long? And after that, I'm a mama bear. And so when it comes to you threatening, you know, not necessarily the livelihood of my child, but my rights, and I know that my child needed milk back at the house, you know what I'm saying? Then, you know, so needless to say, I didn't stay there long. I think I gave them, you know, my 2 weeks after that, and I was gone. And so that's really my journey with nursing and breastfeeding. I am a big advocate for it. I've helped numerous women, you know, get over those hurdles and just kind of let them know and have those candid conversations. I've done latch-ins. The latest I think that really sticks in my mind, I was here in Huntersville, North Carolina, and I had to nurse my baby. Like, he was just, you know, crying inconsolably, and he was just like, you know, and he says, boob, we're working on it. We are, to say milk, but it's not happening. It is not happening. But he was just, he needed me and he needed his mom, you know? So they don't exactly have nurse, you know, places to nurse in the middle of Walmart. You know, I could have gone to the dressing rooms or anything like that, but during this COVID time, you know, that wasn't an option. And so I found a secluded place in the women's department. We sat on the floor and I consoled my baby. I nursed my baby with no shame in my game, you know. And I remember a woman, she came up to me and she was like, you go ahead, mama. She's like, I had a lady come up to me and she said, can you believe she is nursing her baby out here in the open? And I'm like, look, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, she doesn't want these problems. And so because I've been there where I have been judged just like that time, and I've been there where other women have been judged, and I've spoken up for them, you know, because it's not going to happen on my watch. These babies need to eat, number one, just like anybody else in the world, and it's our right, you know, like the immunization that breastfeeding provides. Like, my children, literally, when they get sick, they are only sick for like 2 days. And we you know, like, we don't do ear infections here. Like, out of the 3 boys that I have, I've only had 1 ear infection there. And, you know, and that was from this recent baby. My oldest and my middle boy have never had an ear infection, eye infection, anything.
Wow. When you first started, you stated with your first, you were uneducated.
Yes.
And then you stated that for your other ones, you had support, you had community, you had knowledge. And this is something that I keep speaking about in all of these interviews that I'm doing: support and knowledge. That's what we're missing. That's what we need in order to succeed at this. We have to have someone there to help us through this. And we also need to know what to expect and what to do when we're expecting uncomfortable type of moments and while we're breastfeeding. So, yep, I agree with that. Support, community, and knowledge. Also, you are the second interview that I had where you mentioned the workplace. You know, this is something that I think is another topic of just itself, but also just knowing your rights. And that's where the knowledge come in. So know your rights at the workplace. Have the knowledge of what you can and can't do inside the hospitals. You know, if you don't want your baby to have formula, know that that's your right to not have your child fed formula. But knowledge and support is what I keep hearing. So thank you so much. That was great. Would you like to offer any words of encouragement to breastfeeding moms?
I will, you know what, the the main thing that I want to tell these moms is stick to your guns. And that's not just with breastfeeding, that's with life. You do what works for you. If a cover works for you, do it. If a cover does not work for you, don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to stand up for yourself, because once you have a child, that mama bear that you knew nothing about kicks right in, you know.
Right.
And so if they're not going to be an advocate for you, you need to be an advocate for yourself and for your children. And always surround yourself with supportive people. If you are surrounded by someone that's not supportive, lose them, ditch them. You know what I'm saying? And I understand, like, in some families, because on my in-law side, they don't really understand the whole nursing journey, because not a lot of them nursed. And so I got flack for nursing my middle boy for so long, but I'm doing the best for him. And at the end of the day, it's me and my son, it's me and my husband, it's me and my children. We are in our home.
Yes.
You know, and so my husband was super supportive. There was many times we went out to dinner and he would feed me. He would cut up my food while I nursed my baby, you know, right there in the restaurant. And I made sure that he understood the importance of it, because a lot of men, sometimes they're not supportive simply because they don't understand all the benefits that come behind it. So the words of encouragement I would love, you know, everyone to know is to make sure that you have a village that supports you. And if that means going out to find your village, if that means educating the village that you have around you, do it. Do it, because it's going to pay off. And if you don't have a village, come find me. My name is Miss Lauren Lee on Facebook. And you type Miss Lauren, MS Lauren, and my little shining face will be right there. I'm the only one on Facebook. And so I will be your village. If you need to jump in my inbox to say, hey, Miss Lauren, what am I doing? I will walk you through it. I will.
I love it. I love it. Could you repeat your Facebook again?
Yes, my Facebook is Miss Lauren, MS Lauren, all one word, Leak. And you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram. My company is Bloom Life Consulting. And so I don't mind consulting you through your breastfeeding journey. I don't mind being your bulldog if you need it, to say, hey, don't let me get Miss Lauren on the phone. Because she will read you one way and down the other, you know, because this is important. This isn't just about our rights in a movement. This is about our babies' rights. You know?
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I really appreciate it.
You are very, very welcome.
To the listeners, I want you to be sure to leave your breastfeeding questions in the comments section below. Let us know what they are so we can get them answered for you. Thank you all for tuning in. Talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more resources and tips on how to create a love of learning in your little one, visit teachingaloveoflearning.com. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified when new episodes are posted. Talk to you soon. Hey guys, it's Christina Paulden here, and you're listening to the replays of the Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Story series. That's right, all day long, we're replaying breastfeeding stories from moms and specialists. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy. Hey guys, I'm Christina Paulden, and welcome to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast, your go-to podcast for building a love of learning in your little ones. Thank you for tuning in today, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, it's Christina here. For Breastfeeding Awareness Month, I wanted to put together a series to help inform and inspire moms to breastfeed. So throughout the month, You'll hear moms and specialists share their breastfeeding stories and expertise. It's my prayer that this series provides you with knowledge and support you need while on your breastfeeding journey. Please keep in mind that this series was created for informational purposes only. Please do not disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking help because of something you may have heard on this series. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's series of Breastfeeding Awareness, Inspiration, and Stories, we have Kimberly Tardy here. And Kimberly is going to share her breastfeeding journey and also offer some expertise advice. So how are you doing today, Kimberly?
I am doing good, and thank you for having me.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you just offering to share your story. I'm excited to hear it. And if we can go ahead and just let people know more about your journey and what you're currently doing now.
Okay. Well, my name is Kimberly Tardy. I am a certified childbirth educator. I am a doula and a lactation specialist. I nursed my son, who is now 9 years old, for 18 months. My goal is to just support and empower women, especially women of color, and we take back breastfeeding. And we have successful rates when it comes to breastfeeding.
Mm. Yeah, that's something that I hear often is just that for African Americans women, it's just low. We just, for some reason.
It is very low.
Yes, I hear that a lot. And, since I've been doing these interviews, one thing that I keep putting together, the missing pieces that I'm seeing, one is knowledge. Like we just don't know what we're doing. So, but getting that knowledge is going to help, and also support. Support is also a really big thing. So hopefully, you sharing your stories and just answering questions can help us with those two things. But the rate of African Americans breastfeeding is just extremely low. So thank you for being here again. So can you break down what a first-time breastfeeding mom may experience?
Okay, a first-time breastfeeding mom is going to go through so many emotions. The main one is going to be anxiety. Am I producing enough milk? How do I know my baby is getting enough? Can I nurse while I'm sick? It's all this worry. And that is when you have to not go through mommy groups. You need to actually seek out a professional. Your pediatrician at most times cannot help. Unless you see the initials behind your pediatrician's name that says IBLC or CLC, you don't need to go to them thinking, well, they got the advice I need. You need to actually seek out a lactation specialist. Because when I get moms who tell me, well, I stopped breastfeeding because my pediatrician says I just wasn't producing enough milk. Well, your pediatrician only knows about infant care. You wouldn't go to a proctologist when you're pregnant. So you don't need to go to your pediatrician when you're experiencing breastfeeding issues. And the other big thing, the mommy groups, stay out of them. Like I get so scared and so upset when people tag me in posts and you see all this bad advice, this misinformation being spoken. And it's once again, when I come in, I tell them, look for a lactation specialist in your area and speak with them. Because the first common thing, well, I wasn't producing enough milk. If you speak with someone like myself, I will ask you, what gives you that idea you're not producing enough? Because in breastfeeding, there's a law, supply and demand. If there's not a demand for it, your body will not produce it. Your body will produce enough for the demand your baby is asking for. There is no magical pill that is going to make you produce more milk. Yes, there are glycolates, which are milk-producing substances that you can take, such as oatmeal, taking fenugreek, but those are not the magical pills. You see these MLM companies jump out the wheelworks. Well, if you take It Works Green, you can produce more breast milk. No, you can't. Because there are also certain foods that can hinder your breastfeeding journey and hinder the production of your breast milk.
Wow.
So I tell the moms, you have to nurse often. You have to stay hydrated. Drinking just Gatorade alone is not going to make your body produce more. You need to eat, stay hydrated, and you nurse on demand. You watch the baby, not the clock. I don't care if your baby nursed 45 minutes ago. If your baby is crying again, you nurse again, because you are creating a supply versus off your demand. And then the other thing is, well, how do I know my baby's getting enough? It goes back to when the baby seems to be feeding more. A breastfed baby will feed more than their formula counterpart because breast milk is so organic. It breaks down in the body quicker and faster. Your baby has no problem digesting your breast milk, so therefore it goes quickly. With formula, it may seem that baby's fuller longer, but that baby's digestion is also working overtime trying to break down that stuff. If you notice, like I tell my moms all the time, if your babies have plenty of wet and dirty diapers, your baby's getting enough.
Yes.
You look, watch the baby, notice the diapers. Now, if you nurse all day and you only had one dirty diaper or one wet diaper, that's cause for concern, and we need to look at that. Then it's the other thing as far as the latch issues. That would hinder a lot of first-time moms. They're not properly trained or educated on how to get the baby to latch correctly.
Yes.
So that is one of the big things that I work with a lot of moms. When I teach breastfeeding education, we talk about the different holds, our cradle hold, our football hold, how to get the baby to open up so we can get a good latch, because breastfeeding shouldn't hurt. Another question that a lot of new moms have is, what happens if I get sick? Can I still nurse? Do I have to pump and dump? No. Especially in the climate we're in now, even if you got sick with COVID-19, nurse your baby. Because even with the simple flu or the strep throat, your breast milk is magical. It's going to start producing antibodies that's going to protect your baby. So whatever illness you have, your body knows to produce those antibodies so that baby doesn't get it. Your baby's saliva even speaks to your body. If your baby starts to get sick, your breast milk will automatically start producing antibodies to help your baby. And that's just one of the, plenty wonderful aspects of why we refer to it as liquid gold.
What you said about the specialist versus the pediatrician, yes. I keep hearing that as well. You're going to need a specialist, and it really does make a difference when you have that specialist that actually knows what's going on and what you're experiencing. I know for me, when I first had my daughter, within the first 24 hours, I was not latching correctly. And, it took 24 hours. The next day is when I actually got to sit down with the specialist, and she was actually examining me. And she said, well, it was my daughter's lip was inside her mouth still. And, it was painful. And when she came and she said, nope, you need to make sure her lip is down, make sure the latch is good. And once that latch, those first 3 seconds is a little pain. But then after that, it's like, oh, okay. So for the first 24 hours, I was in pain thinking, because the latch was not right, this is just what I got to deal with. But once I was taught how to properly latch, it was like, oh, okay, there's not even any pain here anymore. So specialists, it's really important for you guys to really look into specialists. Now, you kind of already went into the benefits of breastfeeding, but I want to ask because, I heard a lot of the benefits, but I don't know if you would like to go deeper into the benefits of breastfeeding your child.
Okay, let's look at the benefits let's discuss the benefits for babies first.
Okay.
Breastfed babies get sick less often, which is a good thing. They have a reduced chance for getting ear infections.
Yes.
They are getting pretty much all the nutrients that help strengthen and develop their immune system. One of the best benefits in breastfeeding, I tell my moms whose babies are in daycare, walk around the daycare, touch everything. Don't sanitize your hands, just touch everything, because every germ your baby is going to get exposed to is going to be in that daycare. Hug the person who is taking care of your child, because your body is going to get exposed to that, and your immune system is already up. Now your breast milk is going to do its magical thing again and start producing antibodies when you feed that baby.
Wow.
And so it's going to protect your baby. You know, breastfeeding their studies have shown that breastfed babies have lower incidence of SIDS, there's lower obesity, diabetes rates. And then when you look at for mom, one of the best benefits that every mom pretty much loves, but then I tell moms there's also a kickback because you can lose weight. Breastfeeding, like you can burn up to 500 calories a day, just breastfeeding. However, you start to get, like, I gained weight back a little bit. And I don't know, is it because I was eating more, especially during the times when your baby, you could tell when your breastfed baby's having a growth spurt because they'll be at the breast like pretty much all day.
Yes.
So when they're at the, like when I knew a growth spurt was happening, I would eat more. And it was around that time I would gain a little bit of weight. And then when his feeding kind of leveled back off again, that weight would drop back off. You know, nursing releases oxytocin, which will help your uterus turn back to its normal size. Breastfeeding lowers your risk for ovarian cancer. And then the best benefit for you and baby is that it brings you guys close. Like you guys have this amazing bond. And it's, you know, I think it's like, I'm not saying that you can't have a bond if you bottle fed, but it's this wonderful bond. Yeah, it's a different bond.
Yeah, I actually lost a whole bunch of weight nursing, and then it just took a while for it to come back. But so do you have any words of encouragement for the new breastfeeding mom or the mom that is currently breastfeeding?
I do. I would tell you to set small milestones. It's easy to hear a mom say, well, I've been nursing for 2 years, or I've been nursing for 3 years, or, you know, we nursed for 12 months. Your focus should be, I'm going to nurse my baby for 6 weeks. When you get to 6 weeks, okay, I'm going to do it for 5 months. Get to 5 months, you know, you set those small steps. And then remember, it takes a village to breastfeed a child. You need to be around like-minded and supportive people. My breastfeeding journey almost ended because I didn't have that support system that I needed. So I almost stopped breastfeeding my son because formula was pushed on me instantly. I kept being told, well, you're not producing enough milk. How is we know your milk is healthy? You know, it was so toxic. So when I removed those toxic people out our life, our breastfeeding journey flourished. And then I realized it could be another mom just like me who doesn't have the support system, who's being told she can't breastfeed, she can't do this. So that's when I decided, you know what, I think I want to become a lactation specialist.
Wow. I don't know why, and I don't know if this is happening, if it happened to you inside the hospital, if it was at home, but I don't know why it pushes formula so much, because we don't know, you know, we're tired. You know, we just want to feed our baby, and you're the expert, and you're telling us that this is what the child needs. So I don't know, maybe that'll change in the future, but then again, I think it's going to really be us just having that knowledge and knowing when we go in there what our rights are, and also sticking to what we agreed that we would while we were pregnant and now that the baby is here. So, all right. Could you tell us where people can find you?
I am on Facebook and Instagram under Belly Button Blessings. Facebook, you'll find Belly Button Blessings Doula and Munchery Services. Instagram, just type in at Belly Button Blessings Doula and you can find me.
Again, thank you so much, Kimberly, for being here. I really appreciate it. To the listeners, I want to hear from you. I want to know if you experienced any issues breastfeeding, and I also want to know, how did you overcome those issues? Let us know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the Teaching a Love of Learning podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. For more resources and tips on how to create a love of learning in your little one, visit teachingaloveoflearning.com. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified when new episodes are posted. Talk to you soon.